Alrighty, Marianne, you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
This is 195231 FD, State of Michigan versus John Lee Short Jr. I'm sorry. Ms. Gillis, I hadn't looked up. Appearances?
Yes, Judge. Alex Curry on behalf of the people, P number 84950.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Neighborhood Defender Service of Detroit by Natalie Phelps, P number 83355, appearing on behalf of Mr. John Lee Short Jr., who is standing to my left.
Your name, sir?
John Lee Jr., John Lee Short Jr.
Thank you. Any preliminary matters?
Yes, Your Honor. Defense counsel and I have stipulated to the Michigan State Police lab reports for examination purposes only.
And Your Honor, I do have two preliminary issues as well.
I'm sorry, as to the lab
Oh,
report,
and
was that
that's-
accurate?
Yes, we would stipulate for the purposes of exam only.
Thank you. And I interrupted you. You said two other things?
Yes, Your Honor. Firstly, there is a discovery issue in this case. Unfortunately, Mr. Short, at the beginning of this case, was represented by Ms. Valerie Albright, who is no longer with the Neighborhood Defender Service. It has since been reassigned to me. I had absolutely no record of receiving the digital discovery in this case. I'm not sure what happened at the probable cause conference initially on this case, but there was nothing in our shared drive in terms of the digital discovery. I did reach out to the prosecution earlier this month and didn't get any response. It is clear that there is some digital discovery. There are several videos regarding this case that I would have liked to review before the preliminary exam, so I would ask for an adjournment for that purpose.
Judge, it's come to my attention that the procedure for these hearings is that we do not proceed or set examination date unless defense counsel has discovery. So, to the understanding of the people, defense counsel should have discovery.
However, defense counsel, myself, does not have the digital discovery.
Ms. Phelps is standing here as an officer, excuse me, as an officer of the court indicating she has not received the video discovery. There is no notation in the file regarding the status of discovery, which I typically ask during the final PCC. I guess that I am a little concerned that this matter has been scheduled since March the 2nd, and this is the first that it's been brought to the court's attention that there was a discovery issue. Have you reached out to the prosecutor?
I did, yes,
about
Your
this?
Honor. I sent an email on April 8th regarding this matter. With other cases that I've taken over from Ms. Albright, I've been able to get the discovery ahead of time when there hasn't been a court date for me to personally attend. That was not the case in this situation, although I did send an email on April 8th, and I did bring a copy of that email with me. It was.
And she did send it. This is Jane Gillis for the people. She did send an email to me last week. I must have missed it in the number that I get every day, but Your Honor, I guess normally we don't set exams in this courthouse until everybody's gotten the discovery. She took over for someone else. And, you know, adjournment's no big deal, except for the fact that I have a lay person who's sitting here in the courtroom. That's my only problem.
From the court's perspective, these dates are few and far between. This courtroom is already scheduling out into July, and to have a live date and time scheduled and be unable to proceed feels like not the best use of judicial resources. But this court would never do anything to deny Mr. Short his opportunity to prepare for his exam with his attorney. And if it's defense position that these digital discovery are necessary to proceed this afternoon, the court has no option but to allow this adjournment. Marianne is flipping through our book to see what dates we have available. As of this morning, we were on
August 11th.
August 11th. Is there anything scheduled yet?
No.
August 11. We're supposed to save that 12:30, or can we use that 12:30?
Yeah.
Yes, we can use it.
Yes.
August 11 at 12:30 PM. That will be back with me. And what exactly is it that you're missing?
I don't have any of it, so this was a traffic stop, this is a OWI, so it's my understanding that there's body cam, patrol footage that I guess I don't necessarily need, but at least the body cam of the stop and the sobriety test, et cetera, all of the interactions that happened.
The officer, what exactly is?
Thank
There is
you.
a video in our,
Those are the discs right here.
Were you intending to use that this afternoon?
No, Judge. For sure.
I apologize.
I'm sorry? Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm completely shocked and befuddled. Was there some update from Ms. Gillis?
No, Judge, I believe we're,
So August 11, 2021 at 12:30 PM, live exam. There's a notation in the file that no video discovery received. And anything else on behalf of the people?
not at this time, Your Honor.
Anything else on behalf of Mr. Short?
Nothing further, Your Honor, I thank you for the adjournment and apologize.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Short. We'll see you in a couple months.
Thank you.
Our next one's not till 1 o'clock. So whenever anybody shows up, we're ready. They're early, I'll go early.
All righty.
Well, not yet.
Oh, no, not yet.
Talk about. You know, there's some common denominators.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Judge, it's come to our attention that the date set for the adjourned PE is not good for our complaining witness.
Hold on.
My girlfriend's from Connecticut, and we'll go anytime I say, "Let's go on vacation." She thinks that's the coolest thing ever.
My cottage is where my ring is.
Oh,
Perfect.
is that,
Across that bridge, it's like turning clocks back 20 years, right?
Yeah, so if you,
is it near Hustle or Cedarville, the
please,
Island?
Those are over here.
Yep, that's where we used to
there's
vacation.
no,
Those are beautiful, it's beautiful over here. And Hessel has this really cool in August.
Boat
I don't know
show.
because of the boat show, I don't know if they do it because of COVID. Antique boats. People drive in, restore them. Really cute.
Hundreds of years
There's
old.
tiny, tiny towns, like 4 or 5 businesses.
Yeah.
They're really cute. And they have these beautifully maintained boats. It's just
It's
gorgeous.
good, yeah. I have,
They have all these islands, the Chanel Islands and all that. I know someone that has a place there.
yes,
That's east, I go west.
got it.
There's a nice island there. Shannon Island and all that.
My dad's best friend has a cottage there, so we used to go there when we were younger. Spend a week-ish there every summer.
My cousin's a teacher, so we would send
I set him up with the kids.
To deal with.
And I go back to work.
Well,
I didn't allow TV until about 3 years ago here in college anyway. My husband and I watched the news. I had DVDs we could put in, Disney and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But I would not, if it was a cold rainy day, but I would not allow print TV. They had to catch frogs, take walks, climb through the woods. Hot nights, they'd play frisbee in the water because it's real shallow,
Yeah.
where our little bay that we're in and stuff, you know. My son had a frog catching cage for years.
Really?
Catch all these frogs and then come around the yard and grasshoppers.
All right.
Thank you.
You may be seated. We are,
I'm sorry,
Yes, we're on.
I lost my thing. We are back on the record on 195231, State of Michigan versus John Lee Short Jr.
Yes, Your Honor. Alex Curry on behalf of the people, P number 84950, and apologies to this court, but it's just come to our attention that the date originally set for the adjourned preliminary examination of August 11th is not possible for our complaining witness, so the people are requesting a different date at this time.
Is that date just bad or is that day bad? That day of the week?
it's just that date.
August 18th?
That works for the people, Judge.
August 18th, 2021. Do we have anything scheduled yet?
No, we don't.
12:30. Anything else?
No, Judge.
Thank you much.
thank you, Your
Thanks,
Honor.
Judge.
Have a good day. For real this time, Mary Ann.
Today, yeah.
All those files that you bring, 2 or 3 files. I'm sure they just go there.
We have the defense attorney from
Yeah, I'm taking them back.
1 o'clock.
Speak. Where's his client?
Whenever you
I don't know,
can.
find out where everybody's at.
Mr. Curry? I'm sorry, have you
Yes,
talked to Mr. Davis yet?
I'm sorry, Judge?
Mr. Davis is here for the 1 o'clock,
Correct.
or are you
Yes.
doing it? Have you already talked to him?
I talked to him, he said he's probably gonna waive. He just wanted to make sure that officer is showing up, so I have called the OIC and he says they were notified, so,
As soon as they get here, if you let Officer Brooks know, we'll do it.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Go back out.
You ready? Yep. 1:00. 1:00. There's nobody out there with you. No, I have no problem with that.
Get it rolling.
That's too bad for them. I'm on.
I'm here. Exam is scheduled for 1 o'clock. Parties were in the hallway. I let them know the court's prepared. The exam is scheduled at 1 o'clock. It's 1:05 by the court's clock. We will sit ever so patiently to see who wants to appear. Oh,
Was there someone in the hallway? Were they anybody?
Yeah.
in the hall-
defense attorneys here, prosecutors here.
Oh.
No defendant. I like to be here as scheduled. I'm kind of funny that way.
Hey, you know what? I think, are we live?
Mm-hmm.
I think the morning was really great.
Did you get the news?
I did. Is that real news?
Well, it's,
Don't tease me.
no, it's news unless something blows up that we don't anticipate.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you. I did. That's what I feel like all the time.
You know what? I see people that are outside running with this on, all by themselves, running through the neighborhood. But I'm not judging them. It's just, I don't know how they are doing. I have to do it on the treadmill, but
The attorney this morning who had the clear shield over his face, I loved it.
oh yeah, because you could see his face. I bet they have masks that are clear.
They do.
Hmm.
Somebody offered me a face shield that goes, like rests against your head and kind of goes out like that. I
I
don't know.
don't know. It seemed like there'd be a lot. I don't know.
I think we just become accustomed to this for a little while longer. And it'll be better in the new building because the witnesses all the way across there, the council tables are even further back.
Yeah.
August 11th. that's
I
a long way out.
know. And that's the next day that's open. That's a shame. They must, how many prosecutors do you think they have down
But you have to take into account the number of district courts too. So you have to cover multiple dockets across the county,
there?
multiple levels,
That's a lot.
you know.
Hey, my sister-in-law got summoned for jury duty. Doesn't that surprise you? And it's at circuit court. They live in Washington Township.
When?
Alex's reception day.
Really?
But I said, you guys will still be able to make
It's not a
it.
real date.
No.
They're not, unless they're doing virtual jury.
They said live.
I wouldn't go live.
Well, my sister-in-law does have a lot of issues, a lot of health issues. And I said, all you gotta do is tell them what your underlying issues are. Can they make you go if you're afraid to?
I'm not afraid. You have a documented medical reason why you don't want to be in a public building in the midst of where we are. And things might change over the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 weeks. But will it be enough? So you would think if you were scheduled to be in this courtroom at 1 o'clock, you would be standing so where you could look into this courtroom.
I would imagine. Who's the defense attorney?
He was on this
Oh,
morning.
yeah.
You know, Officer Brooks will come down and, why are you out by yourself? I'm out because we're supposed to be out. And because if I was in my office, I would just be writing notes and files versus trying to stay on schedule. Because we do in fact have a 1:30 case,
Yes, we do. No, 1:45.
1:45. And
2:30.
here's my thing. I cannot reset my watch because I cannot get the stem to pull out and I don't know why. I need to take it to the shop.
Like, are you wearing it?
I'm wearing it, but I'm ever mindful of the fact that it's off by an hour. And I left it out for Kevin to adjust, and I thought he did, and so I put it on this morning.
Nope.
And I looked down at one point, I was like, oh, no, that can't be right. But the officers fixed the clock in the back, and I look at the computer to say, it's such and such a time by the court's clock. I thought this morning was okay.
I thought it went really well.
The way you brought the attorneys in was very helpful, because I would see them, I would look down the list to see who their client was. Do I see the client? Let's go. Whoever's ready, we can go.
Yeah.
And then we had that lull where you could get the failure to appear information out there.
Yeah, that was good. I liked how you did that.
We had a little time. I was very happy with it. And that Heather's following up on that gentleman who had an outstanding matter that somehow hadn't been processed. So
Yep. It's a good team. I was looking it up and she had already emailed you and said, I was like, how does she do that?
well, that's why, because in the morning, people only see me, and so they don't know what's going on. And it looks like I'm having some kind of moment where I'm just looking out into the distance and saying whatever. And that's why I like to acknowledge that, no, I'm not
Yeah, right.
talking to myself. There's actually this other side thing that we're doing. So I'm going to have Fred come into our offices and put our Netflix account on
Oh, yeah, I think that'd be
so that we
great.
can run it in the courtroom when we're in between hearings.
Oh, that's a great TV.
The Great British Baking Show. I'm a huge fan.
Oh, yeah. I've never watched that. British baking show?
Great British Baking Show.
Which series are you on? Who's hosting it this time?
I've watched some. Oh,
Yep, me too.
I was able to binge watch them. And my husband will walk through the room and they're talking about the quality of the sponge. And so he will walk by me and just randomly say sponge and keep walking.
Could be worse. You could say soggy bottom and keep walking.
And see, that's why I love our IT department.
You know, you're so late.
So do you try to cook anything? That no? It's just fun watching.
I bake only a handful of things and I bake them well. And my husband can tell what it is based on what's on the counter, like 3 sticks of butter, 5 eggs, and a small can of 7-Up. He already knows.
He knows what's
He
coming.
knows what's coming. And the last time I baked, he gets this piece and he's like, oh, the sponge. I'm like, oh, here we go. And dress him up. I can't take him anywhere.
So, my niece, my nephew's wife, she loves to cook. And so what her sister gave her for a present was a live Zoom with an Italian chef. And she was on for 4 hours with the chef. And she was in heaven. And my mom was the lucky recipient of it because she went over there. She said, Mayor, the kitchen was like, but the food was delicious. They made their own pasta.
We were at book club last night, and one of the women somehow is going to cook with Alex Botticelli, who I love. This is the second time she's done it. And I was like, are you kidding me? She said, you know who that is? I watch her on Irish Chef. I watch her on any show that she is the judge on. She's had a couple of specials that I watch. I think she's phenomenal.
So she gonna do like what I just told you,
Yeah.
a live thing with her?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you could go and sit and be in the
I
background.
gushed over it, and she was kind of didn't say anything
Oh.
else. But so it's okay. I mean, because it's coming up relatively soon. And, I'm not going anywhere right now
Yeah.
unless
Yeah.
I'm wrapped in plastic. I did find a plastic spaceman suit that zips from the ankle, inside ankle up across the body, and zips the hood on.
You did not.
I did. I found it on Amazon.
Because when you were saying that to somebody, you did go like this.
Yeah.
We're gonna zip you. Are you gonna get it?
No, to wear where?
I don't
I'm not
know.
going anywhere.
In case you want to jump on a plane somewhere.
No, I'm not. I just
It covers your.
covers your whole thing, covers your whole body. It has a little pack on the back. It must be for air circulation. It was Judge Oakley. We were talking about having people come in and just having different size suits
Oh.
that we can decontaminate and people can wear. So
Yeah.
just trying to be smart, trying to be silly,
You don't have to.
try to put more stuff in my Amazon cart. So this is so book club. We are every 6 weeks-ish. So last book club, we picked the book for this time. I ordered it within a week. It came. One of the women called me on Saturday to remind me, and do you mind setting Zoom? Because I have my own Zoom. So I set Zoom. Kevin's in the car, and I said, oh, shoot, I don't have the book yet. Would you order it for me? He pulls up Amazon. Not only have you ordered the book, it's been at the house for like a month. So I'm looking for this book. It's in this whole stack of.
Wait, it was delivered?
It was delivered. We already had it, but I brought it in with it came with other stuff. And so it came with another book. So I just took it and put it in the stack of stuff in my to-read stack. So I start reading it Saturday night at like 8:00.
Because you had your meeting last
Because I had my
night?
meeting on book club on Tuesday. I was done by late on Sunday. It was a good book. It was a fast read.
Thank goodness.
But when I was telling the girls last night, they were like, how do you lose track of it? From where I was sitting, I could look across at this table that has 2 stacks of books. Stuff that I started reading years ago and never finished, or new books that are in the queue to be read.
Yeah. Was it a good, but it was a good
It
book?
was a great book.
What was the name? Would I like
Before
it?
We Were Us, I think it was. I'll bring it in. It's about the Tennessee Children's Home Society. It's about adoptions back in the late 30s, early 40s.
Oh,
I'll bring it in. I thought about it last night. I was wondering if Mariana like this.
yeah, because I just got some books from the library yesterday, because I hate not reading a book. It's like, God, what do I do with my time?
I have a book in my bag, and then a week and a half ago now, somebody sent me a small pocket-sized book of Ruth Bader Ginsburg quotes. So I've been carrying that around, keep thinking I should read that, kind of work it into my reading
yeah.
schedule. They're both in my bag right now. So,
What book are you guys reading now? What's the new book?
3 little girls or 3 orphan girls. We take turns picking books. We're like 300-page limit,
Yeah.
which is doable. We all work or have families or whatever, so we don't want anything that's too long. Because they said, well, what else is in your stack? I said, my stack is like 400 and 600-page books about court stuff, about true crime stuff that I wouldn't inflict on anyone else, but stuff that I
what you
like.
like. I just got done reading one of the best books. It was a real fast, quick, easy read. It was about traveling to Italy I'll get the name of it. I took a picture of it. I'll give it to you. It was wonderful. It was about love and about traveling and really, really good.
And it's 1:15, 1:17, and we have nobody here. I know your rules, Officer Brooks, but when things start at 1 o'clock, I like to be in here at 1 o'clock. Just saying that before I get chastised.
Apologies, Judge. Alex Curry on behalf of the people, P number 84950.
Is it all right with you if I call the case?
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
No worries. Hey, listen, I've been where you are. 200371 FD, State of Michigan versus Roy Speets. Now, Mr. Curry.
Thank you, Judge. Alex Curry on behalf of the people, P number 84950.
Good afternoon, Judge Spencer Clayton, appearing on behalf of Mr. Spades, who sits to my left.
I'm sorry. Clayton?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
P number 77302. I am standing in for the attorney of record in this case, which is Mr. Maurice Davis. Sir, is that with your permission that I stand in for Mr. Davis this afternoon?
Would you stand up for me, please, and state your name?
Maurice Waits.
Thank you, sir. Are we ready for the exam this afternoon?
No, Judge, the people are not ready to proceed. It's my understanding that one of our necessary witnesses is not here. I have the officer in charge.
Morning, afternoon, rather. We've done everything that we possibly can, Your Honor, and.
I'm sorry, before you start talking, your name for the record?
Joe Nace, I'm sorry, Detective with the Airport Police. My apologies.
I'm listening. You've done everything
We've made
possible.
phone calls, text messages, everything we can possibly do. He's been, of course, subpoenaed, and for whatever reason, we cannot seem to get in touch with the officer who made the initial traffic stop, the main witness in this case. So our apologies, it will be addressed.
Your Honor, with the people unable to proceed, we'd be moving to dismiss at this time.
Response, Mr. Curry?
No objection to that proposition, Judge.
Motion granted. Case will be dismissed. This matter is concluded.
Thank you,
Thank
Judge.
you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'm not sure the reason for the delay, and I'm not sure where you typically practice, either one of you, but 1 o'clock means 1 o'clock for me. And if there's a problem, if you just let Officer Brooks know in the future, it's a little bit easier. Mary Ann and I have been out here since about 1:05.
Yes, Judge, apologies.
Thank you,
I
sir.
apologize as well, Judge. I was trying to get in touch with the officer, so.
Understood, Detective. Thank you much. 1:45. Next case. Thank you, Mary Ann.
Yes.
So we're just not gonna talk about the fact your client's late. You just don't say anything.
He didn't say a word.
Did the client just walk in?
He just walked in the door eating a sandwich like no big deal. And then he says, "Do you have a mask?"
Oh,
It's okay.
you're still live?
Listen,
You're
I
staying?
know I'm leaving the bench right now.
Okay.
I think it's disrespectful to at least not acknowledge that you've had such a small problem. 1:45. Oh,
I expected something out of him.
not me, okay. No, why? Mary Ann, the brother is not coming with us.
Yeah, so that was like Don, told them he can't hear at all. I can't whisper, I was whispering today, but then he can't do that. Right. Really struggling. I know, it's really bad, and I don't think there's anything. Done, done, done. and the other person, so. Hello? Hello? This is. Good, how are you? Okay. Yeah, I did too. Is it up to date in 34? Are you the attorney on it?
So you can sit, I think maybe better be over here.
Hey, Henry.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think Yeah.
Yeah, I have other ones in the back there if you want to look at them, but I'm not introducing them, so.
That's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
I've seen it before.
Okay, cool.
Hello, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good to see you in person.
Yeah, it's been forever.
Yeah.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We came busting out here like something was happening. Mr. Schneider, you got the memo that 145 means 145. I appreciate it.
Sure thing. Sure thing.
Mr. Horowitz, what can I do for you?
Oh, Judge, sorry, I'm just early. I'm checking in for the 2:30 exam.
No worries. See you at 2:30.
See you then.
That's Zoom. Is that a Zoom then?
No, it's in person, but he might be Zooming. Maybe they're just waiting. Or maybe he's decided, I mean, they're not required because of the numbers. They're not required to join us. They can
Oh,
elect
got
to
it.
go by Zoom. Kim is gonna get us. This is 200169 FY, State of Michigan versus Ali Hussein.
Thank you, Judge. Alex Curry on behalf of the people, P number 84950.
And good afternoon, Your Honor. Neighborhood Defender Service of Detroit by Henry Schneider, 82476 for Mr. Ali Hussein.
And your name?
Ali Hussein.
Thank you. Are the parties ready to proceed this afternoon?
Not right now, Judge. We have the OIC next door calling a necessary witness. It's my understanding that she's tried a few times and the calls have been in vain and have gone straight to voicemail. We're trying one more avenue, and then we will not take up the court's time any further if we cannot contact the witness, Judge. So can we have 3 minutes to try and contact the necessary witness?
We can actually have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Judge.
We'll see you shortly. Thank you, Mr. Schneider, Mr. Curry.
And I'll be right back.
No worries. So yeah, that's why I'm a hoarder of paper and pictures and all that stuff. I can.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. My nephew interviewed my grandfather years ago, and he has it. I haven't listened to it yet. I should probably get that recording of my dad before we move over.
I had the videotape for my grandparents' 50th wedding anniversary that happened when I was in high school.
Oh,
Yeah,
do you watch it?
I haven't watched it. Mr. Curry just left, and Mr. Schneider had to step out for a moment.
I know. We're having problems.
There's no problems, there's always
Detective and said
solutions.
he got everybody coming and do you issue a dismissal? I'm reading this dismissal notice. I have to fill out when something gets dismissed like that. Is there a dismissal order?
I don't know what Heather actually does. I just mark the box and write in the file. I don't know if she actually issues a.
Yeah, I'll have to ask. Because that airport one, that guy was served a subpoena.
Mary Ann can call and ask her if you want to wait, or you want to go down the hall and ask, because she's not on.
So. Yeah,
We're still running live on YouTube before you say anything else.
I was pretty excited to do some exams.
She's not
You
answering.
know, when you're new, I couldn't wait to do my first jury trial.
My first ever hearing was with Martin Bradfield, and I'll just leave it at that. In 1999.
Sorry, Judge. can I-
No worries, please.
Okay.
I know, listen, it's not that we're trying to go around you.
Oh, no. I'm just trying to corral people.
I heard Mr. Schneider out here, and so we came out. I'm telling you, it wasn't even 5 minutes ago, I promise you.
Oh, no, I was doing that because another witness issue.
I know. And Mr. Hortles is here for the 2:30 already. He's on Zoom.
Hopefully he's the only one we need.
That's kind of good that he's checking in.
Oh, it is Zoom exam.
Ah, okay.
I think this was the one where we had it live and then we switched to Zoom. And it was just at the end of the docket, so it didn't matter.
Correct. Sorry for being difficult.
No, you are not difficult at all, Mr. Hortles. How are we going into July?
No, August.
August, oh, August 18th.
Yeah, that's the. Yep.
Halfway through the year.
Oh, God, it just goes by so fast doing that.
The Wednesdays are just,
So yeah, August 11th is still open whenever we start doing that, if you ever need to.
I feel like you got a good rhythm today.
You know what, I do too.
Oh, been working.
Mr. Hortles and I have that same bookcase. The IKEA special.
Oh yeah, that's a great bookcase.
I had it in my office 2 offices ago.
I think it was what, 75, 80 bucks, something like that.
We bought it when IKEA first opened. We bought 2 of them, and it was a little bit cheaper in the beginning. And I had it turned on the side, and I actually used it for books and files when I was in practice. And then I brought it home and filled it up with briefcases. So.
Yeah, now it's home to all the law books.
Mr. Hortles, I'm going to have you go dark again, and I'll recall 200169FY. I still have your appearances. Are the parties ready to proceed?
Judge, the people are not ready to proceed at this time. We have the officer in charge of the case next door who has been in contact with has not been in contact, with a necessary witness. It's my understanding that that subpoenas were sent, that the complaining witnesses were reminded, and the OIC has attempted to contact the necessary witness today, and to no avail, Judge.
Mr. Schneider?
Your Honor, I would ask the court to dismiss at this time. I believe Mr. Hussein's first hearing on this case was March 18th of last year. If people find it appropriate to refile at any point, they'd be free to do so, but I think it's time for dismissal on this case.
Mr. Curry, the only thing I did not hear you say is that the people cannot proceed.
Judge, the people cannot proceed.
Thank you. Mr. Schneider, you are accurate. The first hearing in this matter was actually March 4th, 2020, based on Mr. Curry's assertions that the people cannot proceed with this witness that was served and has failed to appear. Defense motion to dismiss will be granted. Anything further on behalf of the people?
No, Your Honor.
Anything further, Mr. Schneider?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you so much, sir. Good luck to you, Mr. Hussein. Have a good afternoon.
Appreciate it.
So if Mr. Hortles and his client are available prior to our 2:30 start, we'll start.
Okay, I told my client to jump on 15 minutes early, but I'll tell him to come on now.
I'm not trying to rush you because I don't know if Mr. Curry will be ready. I'm just putting it out in the atmosphere that we'll start early if everyone's here.
So I can go off here, right? Or, oh, no.
I'm sorry, would you like me to wait for an order of dismissal, or could that be emailed to me by chance?
Dealer's choice, how do you want it?
I would prefer email. That's okay. Thank you.
Heather has your email address?
Sure, it's hschneider@ndsdetroit.org. Should have a card also.
What we'll do is when I'm done, don't dig for your card. I wrote in the file. I'll send the file down with Officer Brooks. There's a note in there for Heather to email it to you at your address. Thank you so much, sir.
Great, thank you.
Anything else?
Nothing else today. but
Pleasure to see you.
Good to see you too.
Have a good
Hopefully again
afternoon.
soon.
See you later. Good seeing you.
Yep. Good luck, John.
Thank you.
It
Hopefully
feels
not
like he
needed.
was just training him. That feels like a blink ago.
Henry didn't need any training. He was born ready.
Mr. Schneider, you left too soon. Mr. Hortles said you were born ready.
What's that?
We were talking about your training. It seems like not too long ago that you started training, and he said you were born ready.
I don't know about that. He helped me a lot.
I
Still
think-
does.
Oh.
But, well,
We bring you this hallmark moment from NDS.
all right, you have a good day.
You too. Now, Mr. Hortos, last time you were here, you were supposed to do a song, and this time I guess it's a dance.
It's the COVID shuffle. I think has both a song and a dance component. Usually, it involves
Thank you, that's what it was.
it's a phone in each hand, and then you sort of jiggle about until you can get to the right one.
Mr. Curry's back. He's flipping his file open.
And I'm afraid Mr. Curry is afraid he is not making a good first impression on this judge today.
Mr. Curry, we started on time. You moved the docket efficiently this morning. You were crisp and sharp in your presentation. I am a happy camper.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was going to ask, did you say something about starting the Bowen case early, Judge?
If everyone's here, I'm not going to force people early. I know your officers and any witnesses you have were advised 2:30, but
Yes.
I don't like to have it artificially. We don't have to hang out. You don't have to call them and have them come early. I'm just saying if they happen to be here, I'll come out and we can get going.
You got it, Judge.
But don't move anything extra. Mr. Hortos will sit there until 2:30 if he needs to.
I will. Mr.
Thank
Curry,
you.
question for you. Do you have any objection
Yes, Mr. Rose.
if needed? There are some body cams and dash cams. I was planning on possibly playing one of them. Do you have any issue with the admission of those into evidence?
No, not at this time.
Okay. Would you stipulate to them that way we don't have to
Well,
authenticate?
Yeah, I can stipulate to it. That's fine.
Okay. I don't
Okay,
know if
thanks.
it'll be necessary or not, but just sort of throwing it out there.
If, we don't have to go back and forth on it in front of the judge, so I can stipulate to that now. So,
Okay, great. Thanks.
okay, thank you.
Is he in a gaming chair with a gaming headphone on? We're not going to talk about that?
I am guilty as charged.
Every Wednesday. It's like this. I'm like, oh, early, but we're here, you're here.
Hey, Mr. Hordos?
Yes.
This is APA Curry. When we're talking about stipulating earlier, I forgot there were two files. Which file were you planning on using the video for?
I was just thinking about Officer Moon's dash cam, and very briefly, like there's I think less than a minute worth that I'm even interested
Okay.
in.
Okay, I just gotta clarify that.
I'm also not sure it's necessary. We'll see.
Got it. I'm so sorry, Judge. I had a.
Fine, no, stay.
Okay. Okay, I got it. Loud and clear. Thanks, Mr. Hordos.
Yep, no problem. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Good question for him.
Oh, you know what? He couldn't get in. Hold on.
Okay.
Are you in Zoom right now?
Yeah. Well, I had to have it squished down.
Are there any officers there?
Hold on a second.
I like myself out. That was Jane and, Dylan.
So. Okay.
Thanks, Sergeant Harris.
Hi, Jonathan.
Good afternoon. Did you get my voicemail from me the other day?
Probably not. I check my voicemails on Saturdays when I'm there.
Okay. Orban, remember that case we were talking
Oh,
about?
yeah. You're gonna send them for conference. You called on my 418 number, right?
Yeah. So she's been petitioned. She's in the hospital. So.
Okay. Yeah, that's sad. Did you get all the videos on that? I know I sent paper and I was having difficulty with the videos because the officer uploaded them under Orban.
Yeah, let me double check.
Cases. Are you holding both of these cases or will one do and then you can waive the other?
Well, I think one's going to do the other one way or the other. Depends on how the one goes.
We're going to do the MDP fleeing and looting first.
Okay, I was thinking the opposite might actually be better. Doing the one with Officer
No, because
Moon
I'll
first.
tell you why. They're just bringing, because they didn't put the file in my package. So the other one, I'm going to read the file while Alex does the exam. So no, you don't get to choose which one.
I mean, look, it's your rodeo. I think we'll have to hold both then, just because I'm going to have to establish some facts in the second one. So, but it's not going to take that long.
This is one where we took him into custody.
Shouldn't at least.
Yes.
The one before that,
Okay.
he got away with terminating.
And I have a note saying that we received digital discovery from you on the Orban matter, so that should be good.
Digital?
Yeah.
Oh,
so
digital is video, right?
Right.
And I have all the videos too on it.
Okay, where's our officer?
4:30, or 2:30.
Oh, 4:30, I'm like, what?
No, 2:30,
Yeah.
but this is the one,
The second one.
that is the second one.
Okay. What,
That's
what's your
actually-
question on the second one?
That's actually the first one. He fled first. Officers were terminated. Officer Moon, Bryce Moon was terminated.
Uh-huh.
And then Officer Nippus or Corporal Nippus later on was checking for the vehicle located.
Do you know he made admissions to the OIC on the first one?
I read it. I went facepalm the entire time, but I read it.
You what?
I said I read it and I facepalmed the entire time, but I read it.
Don't you love it? I have funny stories when I was a defense attorney. Well, this is a prosecutor too. And video was very unusual back 30 years ago when they were playing a video of my guy worked gas station at night. It was some kid, 18 years old. And he decided to be fun to just start scratching off all the lotto tickets. He was bored, right? But they got him on video, which was very rare 20, 30 years ago, right? So they're playing the video and I'm like, it was grainy, not perfectly clear like they used to be, and they would jiggle and all, and I'm like, okay, I'm hoping the judge doesn't know for sure it's him. He jumps up and he goes, there I am, I'm on TV. That's when I wanted to crawl under the table.
And you're the defense attorney on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a moment of Judge, can I withdraw? Can I get out?
I remember the judge too. It was, do you know Ted Wallace?
Senior, I've heard of him.
Yeah, Ted Wallace. Well, there's Ted Wallace Jr., who was with our office and then went with the Perkins Law Group. It was his dad was the judge. He was laughing.
You get those moments. I remember during COVID era, I had a client that missed a court date due to a supposed medical issue. So I asked, okay, let's get proof of the medical issue. Tell me what hospital did you go to? Can you get me proof of the admission? Claimed that the hospital didn't have, the lady at the front desk wouldn't give him a number, that they wouldn't give him a receipt for the admission. Eventually, 2 months later, after the capias had been issued, I got a receipt back on those carbon paper type things, except that the carbon paper date had been scratched out in pen, and then the date that we missed court was written in pen over that. Oh, it was
Nice.
perfect.
Oh, do you want, I'll do this. Ben, Alex hasn't read it. I'll do this other one first and well, Alex really wants to do one though.
I think if we do, it's not going to take that long. I mean, the elements are pretty straightforward. I'm not seeing where the complications will come in.
We could almost combine them.
I think that would probably be appropriate. It's the same night. It's
Yeah.
5-hour
So
time span.
Moon chased him the first time. Who chased him the second time?
Courtroom that was, he's in the hallway.
Is Moon there?
Moon will be, but I don't hear his voice yet.
I don't have a problem
Okay.
combining them for exam purposes.
I'll direct exam Moon and then I'll have Alex do Nippus and then Alex can do you for the admission. Yeah.
Okay.
He's new.
No, it's all good. Get practice where you can.
What's your P number, Jonathan?
78948. So 2014.
Mine's 46.
So what? That's 92.
Yep, that's pretty good. I'm impressed.
I think I've got some coworkers that graduated around the same time. So
And I see you have a cat.
I have 2 cats, legal assistants.
Black, both of them?
No, just the one. The other one's Tabby. I've got one
Cats
that's
kind of scare me.
There's nothing wrong with them. They just get in your way.
They kind of, well, first I'm really allergic, but whenever I go to someone's house and I don't know they have a cat and all of a sudden I'm just sitting there and the cat jumps on my lap and I don't know and it freaks me out.
Well, that's the problem is cats know when you don't like them. They'll give you extra attention.
Darian Fortier has the cat going across the screen, you know, she has a couple cats. I don't know how that works when you have a baby though.
I don't know. We're just hoping that the cats don't sleep on the baby. We're going to try to keep them separated.
Well, I've heard horror stories where the cats, because babies drink milk and cats drink milk, where they try to and the baby gets suffocated. Just
I don't
saying.
think that's going to be an issue.
I do know a story. This is, God, I lived on Anita at this time, so it must have been before 96, 97, where somebody had a baby. I had a baby at the same time. And these couple, I think they were drunk or high or whatever, and they fell asleep with the baby laying on top of them, you know, the person on top of them, and their pit bull started chewing the baby's leg off, and they woke up because the baby was screaming. The leg had to be amputated, like from the knee down. They got their kid taken away too.
Yeah, you think. Ugh.
I think they were so wasted they didn't realize it until.
I think we're going to have a closed door policy.
My brother had a dog, and he had a baby at the time. And the dog started whining, trying to bring him into the room, and he went in and the baby had thrown up. So the dog knew something was wrong, you know, and was pulling at him in the bed and everything. And he went in and the kid had gotten sick. It was like a toddler, you know?
So it's a good dog.
Yeah. He always had golden retrievers and labs. Those
Yeah,
pretty
it's
good dogs.
different when you get like certain breeds, you just more dangerous like pit bulls.
I know what pit bulls I've had, and they're really smart. Really smart.
But no doubt, I know lots of people say they're great dogs, but I also know that there's like a statistical like variance for them where basically you get higher levels of aggression. Just not like every dog is aggressive, but you're more likely to get an aggressive dog if it's a pit bull.
Yeah, but people I say pit bull, and that's true. It's also true of some Alaskan dogs. It's also very true of German Shepherds. German Shepherds have a higher bite rate than.
I would believe that from any like any dog that's designed as a working dog, especially.
Yeah, I mean, so it's not just that. There's like 4 or 5 dogs. They always just say pit bull, pit bull, pit bull. There's like a good 4 dogs that, you know, ours were, we had a dog that I don't know what it was. It came from the city, probably had some pit in it. And so anyways,
I'm sorry, Ms. Gillis.
Oh.
Mr.
Yeah,
Bowen
Mr.
is
Bowen
connecting by audio. Mr. Portos needs to find it all.
We should be okay. We've been communicating before the hearing.
Okay, my secretary stepped away for 1 second. We'll be on the record in the next probably 4 or 5 minutes.
Is it echoing?
Yeah, there's a feedback between the.
It is
devices.
because of me, but it'll go off in just a second.
right, Mr. Bowen,
There he
can you hear
is.
us okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. Just mute for now until they call the case.
All right.
Let me go get Harkins.
Okay. So if he wants to combine the two cases, and that's okay, so I'll just do the cross on Moon, and then you do the one on Nippus.
Me. Oh, I thought I hit you.
Same day. So I'm gonna,
Right.
Moon chased him first.
Yep.
I'll do the direct exam on Moon.
Okay.
Then you do the direct exam on Nippus, and you put the OIC in the stand, and he gave a confession.
Okay. So we,
I'm just gonna
are
do
you,
one.
are you on mute?
No.
I think we understand the strategy. It's fair enough.
My mask is up here. I'm on.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
there's nobody in here.
Oh, they're
There's just us.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hordos and Ms. Gillis.
Good afternoon.
This is 201505FT and 201506FT, State of Michigan versus Irvin Bowen. Appearances, please.
Kimberly the Rockmont Pharmacy is at the front.
Ms. Gillis, you're muted.
Ms. Gillis, you're muted.
Jane Gillis on behalf of the people, Your Honor. There's two cases here, and we were just discussing, I think that we could combine the both cases. They happened the same day. The OIC took the statement the same day and everything like that. So I'm going to do direct exam on the one
You're
case.
gonna do direct exam, I'm sorry.
On Officer Moon from the one case that's fleeing and looting in R&O. And then Alex Curry will do direct exam on Officer Nippus, and then we'll be calling, and Alex Curry will be doing the OIC is going to get up and talk about a statement she took.
Any objection, Mr. Hordos?
No, Your Honor. Jonathan Hortus, P78948 from Neighborhood Defender Service of Detroit on behalf of Mr. Irvin Bowen. Mr. Bowen, can you please state your name?
Irvin Bowen.
Thank you. Because this matter is this preliminary examination is being conducted by Zoom, I'm gonna have Officer Brooks turn off the Polycom. There's no reason to have the court's cameras on in the courtroom. Just making it a little easier for.
Okay, I have a question though, Judge. Our witnesses are here.
I couldn't hear the way we were set up before with you all being on Zoom, but we're fine now. Ms. Gillis, are you ready with your first witness?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Ms. Gillis. Are there any preliminary matters before we get started?
Yes. I'm getting a feedback, but I would just like to come in there and put my witness on the stand. It'd be easier for me if your cameras can catch it. If you'd prefer it to do it here.
They can come in. Any objection, Mr. Hordos?
The only objection, I guess the only concern I have is I find sometimes it's hard for the witnesses to hear the questions that are coming across on Zoom. I should be able to hear them, I think, adequately enough, but I've had difficulties with them hearing me in the past when I've done these blended exams.
Well, what I will do is the witnesses actually will be to my left and just a little bit down, so they should be able to be picked up through my microphone and through the computer, but I just had Officer Brooks turn off the internal system because I thought we were all on Zoom, but it's going to take him just 1 second to get us reconnected.
Oh, my other question would be, is if these officers have phones with them, I imagine they could just Zoom in that way.
I'll just put them on the stand. Do you want me to stay in here or do you want me to come in there, Judge?
It doesn't matter to me. I don't have a preference. I know this matter was originally scheduled as a live, but it's on Zoom now. Mr. Hordos, do you have any objection to Ms. Gillis coming into the courtroom?
No, Judge, and I'll let the court know if it ends up being a problem. We can reset from there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let me go tell my officers.
I thought we were okay.
I think we're gonna go with 3, right?
Yeah. I think that's what he said.
You have to, you need to point it towards it. Oh, I see it clicking.
Oh, for when Ms. Gillis gets back, I think there's only one other thing we need to do before starting the exam, and that's a voir dire for Mr. Bowen regarding the Zoom exam.
Yes, Mr. Hortles.
Who do you want, Jim?
Yeah.
They're the ones, they make that mess.
Please.
They're the ones that see them wet. Oh, do you? Oh, do you know what this, TV and Jim? These people we don't know. It's that moving. Thanks, bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Oh, you got it.
We want to watch PBS Kids.
Well, I saw the fact that it moved at all. I was. Oh, is that what you're supposed to use, or is it the other one?
See that?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay, so apparently I'm still waiting for Officer Moon, who I do not need on one of the cases, only my case. So give me like, he was told, we talked to him this morning.
I'm fine with going
Still,
out
if
of
we were
order.
scheduled for, I'm sorry.
The judge, I'm okay with going out of order. The only problem is that Moon is a critical witness for this case. Like, it's very
One
important.
case.
Well, it's
The one-
no, Moon's incredibly important for both cases. We'll get to it, but Moon's very important.
I just like to crawl in a hole.
I can call Nippus right now.
Well, he wants Moon even for my case, for your case.
So, Ms. Gillis,
Let Jamie do that. Hold on.
well, Marianne, are you?
I'm recording.
Okay.
Is that what you want?
Yeah, that was gonna be my question.
Yeah, thank you. What did you do? I couldn't get it to 3.
We're having some technology issues right now. We should be set in just 1 second.
Just move it.
What?
She's on the call.
You're gonna have to connect to the Zoom now because the witness is gonna be in here. Mr. Hortles is about to. I just turned it off because I thought everybody was on Zoom.
What?
It's 10 minutes away.
Okay, well, if he's 10 minutes, but this could all get dismissed if he doesn't show up.
A suggested solution here is we could just have Moon zoom in on his phone or any device.
He's 10 minutes out. We can start with the other witnesses. We can go backwards. I think everybody will get it. It's a pretty straightforward case.
Yeah, I'm okay with going out of order, Judge. That's fine.
Okay, so the only thing that was outstanding was that Mr. Hortles was going to inquire of his client, and our technology issues don't impact that. So.
You want me to turn my script thing off? Is it backfeeding from mine?
So I find the most helpful thing in these situations is Zoom has a function where if you press and hold the space bar, it will unmute your microphone. So if you need to do push to talk, that's a good way to do it.
Really?
See, works just like that.
Oh, I never knew that. Oh.
Wow.
Ms. Gillis, are you able to hear me? Mr.
Yes, Your
Hortles?
Honor.
Okay,
And I can
as
hear you
long
too.
as you can hear me, we're good on our technology issue, I believe now. Are the parties ready to proceed?
Yes.
Yes, Judge.
Mr.
Just need-
Hortles was going to inquire of his client.
Yes, Mr. Bowen, can you confirm that you are okay with holding a Zoom exam, understanding that you had the right to have an in-person examination today where you would be physically present in the courtroom?
Yes.
And so you understand that there are certain limitations to Zoom, and you're acknowledging that you're wanting to proceed on Zoom despite those limitations, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm good.
Thank you. Any other preliminary matters, Ms. Gillis?
You're still muted.
He's. Okay, Mr. Curry will be in right now. He's going to start with Officer Nippes.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Bowen, I would suggest muting your microphone while we're taking testimony just to make sure we don't get any feedback.
If at any time, Mr. Hortles or Mr. Bowen, you're unable to hear what's going on in the courtroom, please send us a signal. Mr. Curry, your first witness, the name?
It's Officer Nippes, Your Honor.
I'm gonna have you stop right here. No, closer to Mary Ann. Spell your first and last name for her, please.
DARRYLNIPPES.
Thank you, sir. You can step over here. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. You may have a seat. Why are you breaking our nice stuff? Come on.
Sorry.
That's okay. I'm just giving you a hard time. Mr. Curry, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Would you please restate your name for the record?
Daryl Nippes.
And where are you employed?
City Romulus Police Department.
How long have you been employed there?
A little over 13 years.
And were you employed on September 12th, 2020?
Yes.
And Officer Nippes, I want to direct your attention to 30573 Redwood Lane. Were you deployed there that day?
Yes, I was sent there during my, I guess, tour duty or work hours.
And what was the reason you were sent there?
To do follow-up because we had a flee and elude earlier on in the night, and the vehicle came back registered to the address on Redwood.
And what were you looking for? Any particular vehicle?
Yes, I believe it was a white Grand Prix.
And did you eventually identify that vehicle?
Yes.
Do you recall approximately what time you identified the vehicle?
That I'm not exactly sure.
Okay, well, we'll move on from that. That's not necessary. When you identified the vehicle, was it in a driveway?
It wasn't on Redwood Lane. It would end up being on, I believe it's Brookway, if I'm not mistaken, and it was backed into a parking spot.
And where is Brookway in relation to Redwood?
So you have Redwood goes east and west, and it's just on the east side of Colbert. Brookway, it goes north and south, and it's just on the west side of Colbert.
So is that approximately a block, a half a mile? What would be your estimation?
If you just go straight across Colbert and don't have to go around the median or anything like that, it's probably a tenth of a mile, maybe.
And Officer Nippes, when you identified the vehicle, I'm sorry if I asked you this, what type of vehicle was it?
White Grand Prix.
Okay. When you identified the Grand Prix, what did you do next?
At that point in time, I ended up seeing the white Grand Prix parked on Brookway, backed into a parking spot. I saw a male sitting in the driver's seat. Ended up coming to a stop, backed up. I let my dispatch know that I located the vehicle and just was sitting there waiting for other units to come down and assist before I made contact.
Okay, and after you alerted the other officers, what, if anything, did the Grand Prix do?
After about maybe a minute, I'd say, Grand Prix ended up pulling out of the parking spot and heading southbound on Brookway.
Did you pursue the vehicle or follow the vehicle rather?
I ended up following the vehicle around to Colbert.
And what did the vehicle do as you followed it?
As I was following the vehicle ended up making a U-turn. So Colbert right there. It is a divided street. So you got a little boulevard in the median or in the middle of it. Right at Cherry, there's a stop sign, and you kind of make a U-turn, I guess, right there it allows, because Cherry's right there. It made the U-turn and headed back northbound on Colbert. At that point in time, I activated my lights, and then when the
Officer Nippes, so you activated your lights after the Grand Prix had made the U-turn?
yeah,
What was the reason for it?
or right in that area, whether it be during the U-turn somewhere in close proximity. I'd have to look at the video to be exact.
Right. So what was the reason for activating your lights at this time?
My apologies.
No worries.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe it ran a stop sign at Colbert and Cherry, and then plus two just kind of
Objection.
conduct an investigative stop from the previous.
Stop, please, officer.
I'm going to object for speculation. The officer said both I believe and if I'm not mistaken. That's not certain enough for personal knowledge.
Sustained. You want to rephrase your question?
Thank you, Judge. So, Officer Nippes, after you activated your overhead lights, what did the Grand Prix do?
The Grand Prix did not stop and continue northbound on Colbert.
And did you continue to pursue the Grand Prix?
Yes, I did. I made sure my lights and sirens were activated at that point in time and continued to.
Were your lights and sirens activated simultaneously?
I hit the lights first, and then when the vehicle didn't immediately stop, I activated my sirens. It was a matter of a second or two.
Okay. And Officer Nippes, after the sirens were activated, what happened next?
The vehicle did not stop and ended up going and turning eastbound down Redwood.
Do you recall the rate of speed that the Grand Prix was traveling in addition to your squad car?
It was a high rate of speed down Colbert as if he was.
Judge, I'm actually going to object and ask for foundation before this answer.
Foundation for what, Judge? If
For
it's
his
his recollection.
More so how he would know the speed if he checked it, etc. If the officer knows how
Judge,
fast
I
he
would
was.
say he would. Sorry. Wait.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hortos, the tail end of what you just said.
So I think there's foundation needed here to establish if the officer knew how fast he was going, if he knew how fast the other vehicle was going before he can answer.
Cruiser down to Grant.
I'll rephrase the question, Judge.
I was gonna, thank you.
How fast were you traveling, Officer Nippes, while you were following the Grand Prix?
Well over 25, which is the speed limit.
Okay.
You're good. The crash census is on right now. All right.
1 second, Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
While you were following the vehicle, Officer Nippes, was it making any turns?
Yeah, so after it went eastbound down Redwood and then turned southbound down Mountain Way and took that out to Brant Street and turned southbound.
Were those the only turns that the vehicle made?
Nope. Down Brant, it continued southbound all the way down to Pennsylvania, where it made a left-hand turn, which is eastbound down Pennsylvania, and then right down Pennsylvania, then it turned right, which would be southbound on Middlebelt. It continued down at a high rate of speed down Middlebelt, and then it ended up turning right, so it went back westbound down King Road, and went all the way down to Vining and made a right, which I believe is north. Yes, north at that point in time, then came back up towards Pennsylvania.
And so, Officer Nippes, how did how did the following of this vehicle conclude? How did it end?
So the following of it, basically, he was pretty far ahead of me. My car, it only goes like 100, 105, and he was well ahead of me by the time ended up getting to Vining in Pennsylvania. Ended up pulling up to Vining, Pennsylvania, going through Pennsylvania and seeing that the vehicle was off into the ditch on the east side of the road.
All right, we'll stop right there. So the vehicle that you were following, what type of vehicle was in the ditch?
White Pontiac.
Okay. And did you hear any noises? So hang on, you testified that did you lose sight of the vehicle?
For a brief second, I thought it had possibly made a turn down Pennsylvania, but once I got up to Pennsylvania, we had units that were coming down Pennsylvania, so they didn't see any vehicles coming, so then I continued northbound through Pennsylvania and up Vining, and that's when I saw the white Pontiac in the ditch.
Okay, so before you encountered the white Pontiac in the ditch, did you hear any noises?
Not before, after I saw it and got out of the car, heard some basically sounded like somebody was running through the woods or in the woods.
Could you describe those noises?
Just basically sticks and leaves and branches breaking and being moved to the side.
Okay.
Judge, could I just interrupt and ask the court to mute other device? I'm hearing some background noise through that.
It might possibly be from the prosecutor's office.
I think
see
that's
that
the
they're
case.
not muted, and if somebody is walking by and talking. Other than that, Mr. Hortles, were you able to hear sufficiently?
Yeah, I've got good notes. I'm fine.
Okay.
AP Angels is
She's already out there.
Okay. But at this time, Judge, I have no further questions for this witness.
Mr. Hortles.
Okay. Officer Nippes, would you agree with me that the entire reason you were investigating this area and this vehicle was related to the prior fleeing and eluding?
Yes.
And that occurred approximately 5 hours before you were dispatched to that area, correct?
To be honest, I don't know the exact time frame.
It was earlier that night though, right?
Yeah, it was previously to the exact hours. I'm not sure.
Okay. And so you say that you're dispatched to this area and you locate the suspect vehicle about 1/10 of a mile away from the address you were given.
Yeah, in the same apartment complex.
Okay. And you, I guess earlier, let me rephrase this. You would not have gone to that location but for the fleeing and eluding that happened earlier, right?
I wouldn't, I'm sorry. There was a little bit of typing and it was a little low.
But for the fleeing and eluding earlier, you would not have gone to that location, correct?
Correct.
And similarly, you would not have followed this vehicle but for the prior fleeing and eluding, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you write your police reports, do you make sure that the information that you include is as complete and accurate as possible?
Yes.
Okay. And you try not to leave out any important details, anything like that, right?
That is correct.
Because the purpose of writing a police report is to make sure that you create an accurate summary of events, correct?
Yes.
And that's something that you do, correct?
Yes.
So as a matter of habit, you would not leave anything important out of your police report, correct?
Not unless I forgot it for some reason.
Okay. Would you agree with me then that there is no reference in your police report to a stop sign on Cherry or a U-turn?
That I don't know. I would have to reference the report. I at least put they turned and went back northbound on Colbert, I believe.
Well, here, I can read it to you, and perhaps this will refresh your recollection. Says the listed vehicle turns
I'm
southbound.
sorry, Mr. Hortles, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we lost your client for a second there.
Okay, I think he's still with us, Judge. Mr. Bowen, give us a thumbs up if you can hear us.
His face had disappeared completely from the screen, which was my concern, but okay, you can continue.
All right. So in your report, it states the listed vehicle turned southbound onto Colbert and then headed towards Cherry. Corporal Nippes attempted to stop the listed vehicle by activating the emergency lights and sirens in R25, but the vehicle did not stop. Then it says the listed vehicle made a U-turn at Cherry and headed back northbound on Colbert, but no reference to a stop sign. Would you agree?
If that's all that it says, then yes.
Okay. I have no further questions for this witness. Thank you.
Can you redirect, Mr. Curry?
No to redirect, Your Honor.
Thank you. Officer Nippes, thank you for coming in this afternoon.
Thank you.
There is an attorney, Tom Petrowski, in the waiting room. Are either of you expecting him?
He's probably for a ticket at 3.
Okay. I will leave him in there. Next witness, Mr. Curry.
Yes, Judge. The people are going to call Officer Kilgore.
Mr. Bowen, are you going to be able to get stationary here sometime soon?
Yes, sorry, man.
That's okay.
I'm at work. I'm sorry.
Are you actively discharging your duties? You're actively at work?
No, I'm sitting down now. I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm stationed.
No, it's okay. I want to be sure that you're following along with the proceedings. And they've gone to get the next witness.
I am.
I forgot about the 3 o'clock stuff. Because I saw another person. You can come right up through this swinging door. And you're gonna stop right here and spell your first and last name for the young lady.
Joseph, Joseph, last name Kilgore, Kilgore.
You're gonna come up here, watch this ramp, it's a little bit of an incline. Raise your right hand for me. You swear affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you much, have a seat. Mr. Curry.
Thank you, Judge. Would you please repeat your name for the record, please?
Joseph Kilgore,
Mr. Kilgore, where are you employed?
Romulus Police Department.
How long have you been there?
Almost a year now. I started June 30th of last year.
And
Officer
Officer Kilgore, I want to direct your attention to September 12th of 2020. Were you working that day?
Yeah.
Okay. In what capacity were you working?
As a police officer for Romulus.
And in your duties as a police officer with Romulus, did your duties take you to Vining Road or Vining Street?
Yes.
What was the reason for that dispatch?
Officer Nippus was in a pursuit with the vehicle.
And did you eventually go to that location?
Yeah.
What transpired when you arrived at that location?
I arrived after Officer Nippus and saw a car that had crashed into the ditch.
Do you recall what type of car that was?
I do not.
You recall what color it was?
I believe it was silver.
Silver. And after you observed the crashed vehicle, and you said it was in a ditch, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did you hear anything else around that time?
Rustling in the woods, like it was someone running back there.
And after you heard that rustling, did you attempt to go into the woods?
No.
Did you notice or hear anything else after you heard the rustling?
Not that I can recall.
So, after you saw the vehicle and after you heard the rustling, what did you do next?
We waited there and called for a K9, and then that's when another officer noticed a vehicle pull up.
Objection, Your Honor, is to hearsay from the other officer.
I'll rephrase the question, or I'll ask a different question.
Thank you.
So after what was the purpose of the K9 unit arriving?
To do a track for the person that fled the vehicle.
Okay, and was a K9, did the K9 unit arrive?
Not that I believe, no.
Not that you believe. After you called for the K9 unit, what happened next?
We waited.
Did anything happen after you wait? After you were waiting for the K9 unit to arrive?
A vehicle pulled up onto Pennsylvania near Vining and stopped.
And was this near the woods?
Yes.
Would you remember what type of vehicle that was?
I do.
You remember what color that vehicle was?
I believe it was blue.
Blue?
Judge, I'm going to object and move to strike for speculation.
Any response?
No response, Judge. I'll ask a different question.
Just to make a clear record,
Officer
is
Kilgore.
the court granting that objection?
I'm granting your objection. That answer will be stricken.
Thank you, Judge.
Officer Kilgore, When you saw this vehicle arrive on Pennsylvania, you said,
Yes,
did it do anything?
it picked an individual up.
You saw an individual get into a car.
Yes.
Did you see who that individual was?
As they passed by us, I saw Irvin Bowen in the back seat.
And after the individual got into the car, what did you do?
After he got into the car, I originally started walking towards Pennsylvania on Vining, and then back to my car that was parked on Vining.
Back to your police car?
Yes.
Was that a fully marked police car?
Yes.
And after you returned to your vehicle, what did you do next?
We began to try to catch up to the vehicle.
Did you eventually catch up to the vehicle?
Yes, we weren't the first ones there, but yes.
Okay. So you witnessed, what did you witness when you caught up to that vehicle?
Can you repeat that, sorry?
When you eventually caught up to that vehicle, you saw it pick up that individual. What was going on?
A felony stop by other officers.
So other officers had made a traffic stop?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'm going to object and move to strike for hearsay. Whether or not it was a felony stop or why the other officer stopped the vehicle, I don't think this witness can testify to.
Can I ask a foundational question, Judge?
Are you ceding to his objection?
Yes, I'll ask a different question.
Sustained.
After the traffic stop was made, Officer Kilgore, was there any arrests made?
Yes.
What was the arrest for?
The arrest was for fleeing a loop.
And I'm going to object for foundation whether or not this officer performed the arrest.
I mean, Judge, did you witness the arrest?
Yes.
I guess, Judge, my objection still stands.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Your objection sustained. Mr. Curry appeared to be rephrasing.
I rephrased my question prematurely, Judge. I apologize.
That's okay.
May I ask the question again, Judge?
You can ask your next question.
Okay. Officer Kilgore, after you witnessed the arrest, what happened next?
The suspect was placed into the back of patrol vehicle 31, which I was driving.
You were driving that vehicle?
Yes.
The person who was put in the back of that vehicle, are they in this courtroom or on any screen today?
Yes.
Could you possibly identify them by an article of clothing or hairstyle?
Braids. That's all I can see on the screen.
The gentleman on the Zoom screen?
Yes.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that you witness has identified the defendant?
Mr. Hordos?
I don't think it's improper. We'll take it.
The record will reflect that the witness has identified Mr. Bowen.
Thank you, Judge. Officer Kilgore, when you were taking, excuse me, let me rephrase that. Where were you taking the defendant when he was in the back of your vehicle?
To Romulus Police Station.
And just, I know this may seem like a mundane question, but where did you pick up where was the defendant placed in your vehicle, if that makes sense? Like, where was the location?
In the backseat.
I meant, sorry, like crossroads of where your vehicle was located when the defendant exited or entered your vehicle.
It was on Eureka at John Bingle.
Is that in Romulus, Michigan?
Yes.
Is that in the county of Wayne?
Yes.
And Officer Kilgore, what, if anything, transpired on the way to the Romulus Police Station?
He began kicking the window and destroyed a microphone. And he also spoke about how his clothes were wet and dirty from the water he was in.
Judge, I have no further questions for this witness at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Hordos?
Sorry, just thinking 1 second. Officer Kilgore, did you participate in any interrogation of Mr. Bowen?
No,
Do you have any prior knowledge of Mr. Bowen outside of the arrest that you observed and picking him up in the vehicle?
yes,
Okay. On what date did you previously meet him?
I cannot recall the exact date.
Was it recently before this incident or no?
Yes,
Okay, how recently? Was it a week or more?
within a month.
Okay. Sorry, one moment, Judge. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any redirect, Mr. Curry?
No redirect, Your Honor.
Thank you. Officer Kilgore, thank you for coming in today.
Thank you.
You told Bowen to come on in here. Moon is what I meant. Sorry. Or the moon, and then you can start talking about Bowen.
Because she read her report.
Yeah.
Am I good to come?
Sir, if you would stop right here and spell your first and last name for Mary Ann, please.
Bryce Moon, BRYCE MOON.
Watch this incline. Raise your right hand for me, please. You swear affirm testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you much. Have a seat.
Excuse my tardiness.
Never.
And Judge, just to make it clear, I believe that this is in reference to the other case number. I just want to make sure the transcripts come across correctly.
The 1506.
Correct. Okay, can I start?
Yes.
Okay. Officer Moon, I'd like to draw your attention back to the date of September 12th, 2020, in the area of Middlebelt and Eureka early in the morning. On that date, were you at that location?
Yes.
Okay, is there a BP gas station there?
Yes.
Okay, and it was in the city of Romulus?
Yes.
Okay, and did you see someone or something that caught your attention?
Yes.
Okay, what was that? Or
A guy we had just recently dealt with in reference to possible to a shooting was at the gas station at one of the pumps. I noticed him in his car.
Okay, and did you know anything else about him at that time?
I knew him to have a suspended license.
You knew him to have a suspended license?
Correct.
Okay, and so upon seeing him.
Your Honor, I'm going to object for
knowing he has a
foundation.
suspended license, what did you do
I'm
next?
sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm going to
Mr.
object for.
Hortos.
Yeah, if I could let's say a foundational objection to the last answer with respect to knowing him to have a suspended license.
Why?
Ms. Gillis.
I don't understand he said he knew him to have a suspended license. I thought, did you notice something? And he said this guy, and I know that he has a suspended license. I don't understand that.
I mean, I could save it for cross, Judge. I'm trying to get to how he knew. Like, I think that's the foundational issue.
Okay, so what did you do next?
I attempted to pull him over, conduct a traffic stop.
Okay, wait, he's in the gas station pumping gas. And then what happened after that? I should say, let's go right in order. Okay,
He left out the gas station.
and which way did he travel?
Eastbound.
Eureka. Oh, okay, I'm not familiar with the area.
No, you're fine. Sorry.
Okay, so he's traveling down there, and did you follow him?
Yes.
Did you light up your lights and sirens?
Yes.
Okay, and what happened?
They pulled over, or he pulled over initially. When I went to get out the car.
I'm listening.
Sorry. When I got out of the car, I went to approach the vehicle and I heard the passenger yell.
Objection, Your Honor, for hearsay. If the passenger isn't identified as the defendant, it's not admissible.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I couldn't really
Okay, he's objecting because you can't, what the passenger said is hearsay. So,
I'm going to sustain the objection.
okay. So let me start. Did you hear somebody say something?
Yes,
Was it coming from the passenger?
yes.
Okay. And you said you knew Mr. Moon. Where was he sitting?
Mr. Bowen, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry,
yeah, he
Mr.
was-
Bowen. A little tired. Mr. Bowen, okay, so where was he sitting?
In the driver's seat,
Okay, and you heard the passenger say something,
yes.
okay? And after the passenger said something, what happened next?
The car sped off.
Okay, and did you follow it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did you have on your lights and sirens?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and where did you follow it to? Tell me the directions where you went.
Continue eastbound Eureka to northbound Harrison. Northbound Harrison to eastbound North Line. Eastbound North Line to southbound Inkster. Southbound Inkster to westbound King. And I was terminated.
And you were terminated?
Yes,
By whom?
the boss on the desk. I
Okay,
can't remember who.
so when you were following him on these streets, were you going above the speed limit?
Yes, ma'am.
Were any of these streets, were any of the posted speed limit signs on any of these streets 35 miles per hour or less?
Yes.
Okay. And what type of car was this?
Grand Prix,
Okay. Remember the color?
white.
Okay. Okay, you said that you were familiar with Mr. Bowen prior to this incident. Is that correct?
Yes.
But I'm just gonna ask you today, do you see him in the courtroom or on the screen? I need him to. You can
Yes.
stand up if you want to walk.
I can see. Yes.
Okay, can you just describe him a little bit?
Light skinned male. What kind of braided hair? With
Okay,
beads.
because record reflects he's identified the defendant.
It's you.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Mr. Hordos.
Okay, so you've got this encounter at the BP gas station, right? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Do you need, can I turn up a little bit, please?
It's the
Thanks.
typing that you can't. No, she has to do it.
He's turning it up, Mr. Hordos. He's turning it up so Officer Moon can hear.
Okay, sorry, I'll try to speak up as well.
No, you're fine. There was an encounter at the BP.
Is that correct, Mr. Moon?
Yes.
Okay, and you see Mr. Bowen pumping gas, right?
Correct.
And you
Correct.
said that you knew him to have a suspended license. Now that, am I recalling your testimony correctly?
Yes.
Okay, now the reason you knew him to have a suspended license was based on an encounter you had with him in the past. It was approximately a week prior, right?
I don't remember a specific date, but it was very recent.
Okay, when you say very recent though, it was more than 3 days prior, correct?
Again, I don't remember the dates.
In fact, it was
I
September.
can't-
Would the date of September 7th ring a bell as far as the date that you last encountered Mr. Bowen?
It's possible, sir.
Because you referenced the shooting, correct?
Correct.
And so as part of that shooting investigation, you were dispatched on the 7th of September, correct?
Correct.
And that's how you encountered Mr. Bowen on that date, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and so when you say that you knew that his license was suspended, that's based on the information you acquired on September 7th, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you did not run a lien check on the date of September 12th, correct?
I can't remember.
At the time that you saw Mr. Bowen at the pumps to the time that you started following him, you did not run a lien check in that time, correct?
I can't recall.
Would you agree with me that you did not run any kind of check to see if his license was valid on the date of September 12th before you activated your
He
license
asked, I
sirens?
don't object. He asked and answered this. You can't just keep re-asking. He said he doesn't recall.
Your response, Mr. Hordos?
Judge, I think I'm asking the question slightly. I'm trying to make sure my question is explicitly clear as to the timing. It's the last time I'll ask it.
You promise?
Yes, I have something else to follow up with.
Now,
but
Mr.
not that
Hordos,
specific.
there was a little bit too much levity from the court. Objection overruled.
Okay. So, Mr. Moon, between the time that you saw Mr. Bowen pumping gas and the time that you activated your lights and sirens, did you run a lean check?
I cannot recall.
Okay. If you had, Mr. Moon, would you agree with me that when you prepare police reports that you try to accurately document what happened?
Yes.
And you would agree with me that it's important to make sure that those reports are accurate, right?
Yes.
And the reason it's important is because you're conducting a criminal investigation, right?
Correct.
You know that if you leave out an important fact that it could impeach your credibility, right?
Yes.
And you know that prosecutors and other people will be relying on those police reports to determine what happened, correct?
Correct.
So in the ordinary course of business in preparing these police reports, would you agree with me that you have a habit of documenting facts like running lean checks?
Yes.
Okay. And so if a lean check is not present in your police report, it didn't happen then, correct?
Not specifically.
Okay. So you're saying you do leave things out of your police reports then?
No, we run lean checks all the time.
Okay. But you didn't remember if you did it here or not?
Not prior to the stop, I'm not sure.
Okay. And would you agree with me that at the very least your police report doesn't include any reference to a lean check prior to the stop?
It does not include one, no.
Okay. Thank you. One last, a few more questions. During the chase, were you watching your speedometer the entire time?
Not the entire time.
Okay. In fact, you would agree with me that your focus would be on the vehicle that you're chasing, correct?
For the most part, yes.
And you would agree with me.
Check my speeds.
You would agree with me that a chase like this involves a lot of adrenaline, right?
Yes.
And that it can cause tunnel vision to set in a little bit, correct?
It's possible, yes.
Okay. And would you agree with me that you sort of had tunnel vision on this car, right?
I was focused on the car that was in front of me, yes.
Okay. And obviously relaying relevant information to dispatch, of course, right?
Correct.
So you've got all these things going on. You're trying to make sure that you're keeping up with the vehicle, right?
Correct.
You're trying to make sure that you're not endangering the public, correct?
Correct.
And you're trying to make sure that you don't do anything wrong, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so there's a lot to juggle while you're chasing this vehicle, correct?
Correct.
And ultimately, you said that your chase was terminated, and what you mean by that is that you were forced to stop chasing the vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you never caught up with it, right?
I never made contact with the vehicle, no.
Okay.
But I was behind the vehicle.
I have no further questions. Thank you.
Any redirect?
Nope. No
Thank
further
you.
questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Officer Moon. Your next witness?
Yes, Judge, we are calling Sergeant Harris.
Ms. Gillis, do you want to start doing those next round of hearings, or will you be remaining in the courtroom?
Well, I think Alex got it. I can start the next one.
Okay, ma'am, I'm gonna have you stop right here. Ms. Gillis, what I'm gonna do is just put them put them all in the breakout room with you. Is that manageable?
Yep.
Okay. Would you spell your first and last name for Mary Ann, please?
Yes, Nicole, Nicole, last name Harris, Harris.
Thank you, ma'am. You're gonna come up this ramp, watch your step. Raise your right hand for me, please. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you much. You can have a seat.
May I proceed, Judge?
Yes, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Would you please restate your name for the record?
Sergeant Nicole Harris,
And Sergeant Harris, where are you employed?
Romulus Police Department,
And approximately how long have you been there?
just under 16 years.
And were you employed there on the date of September 12th, 2020?
Yes, sir.
In what capacity were you employed?
I am the administrative sergeant in charge of the traffic bureau.
So administrative, what does that mean?
I run our traffic bureau and then I do all the administrative work when it comes to downloading files and body cameras and things like that.
Where do you work when you do that?
Within the traffic bureau office at the Romulus Police Department.
And do you conduct interviews as well?
Yes,
Did you conduct an interview on September 12th, 2020? Do
yes, sir.
you remember the name of the person you interviewed?
Mr. Bowen?
And is that person in the courtroom today or on a screen on Zoom?
Yes, he is on the screen.
Could you possibly identify that person by, or describe what he's wearing or what he looks like?
He is wearing two different colors of blue, light skin with braids.
Judge, may the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant?
Yes.
Thank you. And Sergeant Harris, when you conduct the interview, how do you start these interviews?
I start just with casual conversation. I find out, I just confirm where they live, good phone numbers for them, things of that nature. And then I always make sure that, they're not hungry, they don't need any water. And then we have a Romulus Police Department Miranda form. I provide them a copy and then I read it to them. They initial after each one indicating that they understand, and then I ask if they wish to talk to me. If they do, they sign the form. If they indicate they do not wish to speak with me, then we put them back into the lockup.
All right, well, and Sergeant Harris, in this particular instance, was Mr. Bowen given some food?
He had ate previously to coming into the interview room with me.
Okay. And was Mr. Bowen given this Miranda form?
Yes,
And did he sign that form?
he did.
And based on your perception, did Mr. Bowen appear able or competent to answer those questions?
He did.
So what question did you ask Mr. Bowen first?
Well, I don't remember the specific order of questions that I asked him, but I asked him if he knew why we were here, and I asked him about why he was there, and he explained to me a little bit about the pursuit he had been involved in, or the chase that he had been involved in, and why he thought that happened.
What sort of things did he say about that chase?
He said that initially he didn't feel that the police had a reason to stop him. So he said he was at the gas station, and when he pulled out, he said he peeled out. And then when the officer was attempting to stop him, he said he didn't feel like they had a reason, so he continued on.
And what did Mr. Bowen talk about next?
I asked him how he knew that it was the police. He indicated he seen the lights. He did say he did not hear the sirens. He only seen the lights. He said he wasn't familiar with the area, and so he had turned his headlights off, hoping that the officer wouldn't see him. He said he turned them on, and then he had a stop sign in front of him, and he couldn't stop, and that's when he went into the wooded area.
So what did Mr. Bowen say about being in the wooded area?
He said that he called a friend or a cousin named Trey. He was trying to get a hold of his brother, but his brother didn't have a phone. So he wanted his brother to come pick him up from the wooded area.
And did Mr. Bowen say anything about whether someone picked him up from the wooded area?
Yeah, he did. He said that they pulled up, honked the horn, and he came out and got into the car, which was stopped shortly after.
And did Mr. Bowen tell you anything about what he said to the person who picked him up?
Not that I remember.
Okay. Did Mr. Bowen say anything about what happened after his cousin picked him up?
No, just that's how he got here, that the police stopped him and he was arrested.
Judge, no further questions at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Hordos.
Just a couple questions. Did you inquire or do any testing to determine if Mr. Bowen was under the influence of any drugs at the time he spoke to you?
We did not, sir.
You did not ask?
I did ask him if he was under the influence of anything. He indicated no, nor did he appear, with my experience in law enforcement, he did not appear to be intoxicated or under the influence of any narcotics.
Okay, did you do any tests to confirm?
No, sir.
Were any tests by any other officers performed in the course of his custody status?
I do not believe so, no.
Didn't he have to be both taken from and returned to the detox cell at the jail before and after the interview?
We do not specifically at the Romulus have a detox cell. We just have 3 cells.
Okay, so you're saying that there was no detox element involved in any part of Mr. Bowen's custody stay?
In no part that I had a part on. I don't believe so, no.
Okay, and are you saying that your part ended at this interview, or did it continue on after?
My involvement with Mr. Bowen ended there. I then typed up the long form to submit.
Okay. And I'm guessing you did not make any other inquiries regarding, detox or drug use or anything like that, correct?
No, sir.
Is that no, that's not correct, or yes, that is correct?
I apologize. I did not make any other inquiries.
Okay, thank you. I have no further
You're
questions for this witness. Thank you.
Thank you. Any redirect, Mr. Curry?
No additional questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Sergeant. You may step down.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Thank you.
Your Honor, Jane Gillis on behalf of the people as to the case that I took testimony on, the section that I took testimony on, Officer Moon testified that he was familiar with Mr.
I'm sorry, Ms. Gillis, so no other witnesses, you're doing your closing?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, I just
Yeah,
want to be.
no other witnesses.
And
Officer Moon
no witnesses for
testified
the
that
defense,
he-
just procedurally.
Well, that's why I was turning towards you, Mr. Hordos.
And he was familiar with Mr. Bowen. He knew that he didn't have a suspended license, or he at least had checked within 5 days before, it sounds like. So he went after him and he pulled over and then he took off. And he was licensed sirens, and there were streets that were 35 miles per hour or less. He testified to all that and he didn't stop for the police. So I'm asking to be bound over on the fleeing and looting and the RNO.
Judge, I'm moving to suppress the evidence in this case. I believe the officer's initial stop, Officer Moon specifically, did not have reasonable suspicion to believe that my client's license was suspended. While he did indicate that he had an encounter with Mr. Bowen on September 7th, which I believe would be 5 days prior to this incident. It took some coaxing to get that out of him, but he eventually agreed with me on the date. That he did not, it doesn't appear that he ran a lean check. The officer indicated that he did not remember if he ran a lean check or not, but during impeachment, he agreed with me that his report did not contain a reference to a lean check prior to the stop, and that it was his habit to include information like that in his police report. So I think the inference that this court can draw is that a lean check was not performed. While I appreciate the fact that an officer who's familiar with a person or familiar might have suspicion of Mr. Bowen for driving on a suspended license, the proper procedure at that point is to run the lean check to confirm that the license is in fact suspended, because it could very well be that Mr. Bowen had his license reinstated in those 5 days, and the officer had no way of knowing whether or not that happened if he didn't run a lean check. Now, the case law is very permissive of officers when they run lean checks, and it even allows stops when the lean information is incorrect. But the problem is what happens when the officer doesn't run a lean check? What happens when they don't even bother to do the due diligence? I think at that point it makes this stop presumptively unreasonable. The officer did not present a sufficient cause or basis of knowledge to justify pulling Mr. Bowen over in the first place. And so everything that comes after that, I think, has to be suppressed, both this case and the case that was handled by the other attorney. That the officers in that case testified that the only reason that they were even there was in relation to this fleeing and eluding. One necessarily follows the other. And Officer Moon made a grave mistake by not running a lien check to confirm his suspicion. He made a suspicion-based arrest, but it was not reasonable. So I'm asking the court to suppress the evidence in this case and dismiss both matters.
Well, I think the testimony was that he didn't recall whether he ran a lien check, and no, he didn't put it in his report. He typically does. And I think the fact that he had run one 5 days prior, and it was someone they were investigating for a shooting, I think that he had probable cause to stop the guy and see if he had gotten his license. I think it's okay. And it's okay for probable cause purposes.
Thank you, Ms. Gillis. As to the other matter,
Yes, Judge,
were there, I'm sorry, you were finished with any other witnesses?
No, no other witnesses, Judge, on my matter.
Any witnesses, Mr. Hordos?
Not with respect to that matter, Judge, no.
Thank you.
And Judge, the people at this time would move to bind this over as charged as well. We heard some pretty clear testimony from all three officers that, first, we heard from Officer Nippes, who was responding to something in the area of Redwood and observed a vehicle that he was told to be on the lookout for, and that vehicle then fled away. To Officer Nippes's perception, it was traveling at a high rate of speed. Officer Nippes looked at his own speedometer, and it was traveling over the speed limit. Then he came. The car, was traveling at such a high rate of speed that Officer Nippes lost contact with it and eventually came upon a crashed vehicle in a ditch. And after Officer Kilgore arrived on the scene, both officers testified that they heard rustling and footsteps in the marsh as if someone was in there, or the woods. Then we heard from Officer Kilgore that a vehicle arrived, honked its horn, and someone got into that vehicle, and we heard from Sergeant Harris that all this was admitted by a competent and well-fed defendant. So again, Judge, the people would move to bind this over as charged.
And Judge, I'll re-raise my suppression argument from earlier and just add that I'm looking at the case of Pennsylvania versus Mims. That's the United States Supreme Court case, 434 U.S. 106. It's a 1977 case, basically indicating that as a general matter, the decision to stop an automobile is reasonable where the police have probable cause to believe that a traffic violation has occurred. So here the police officer needed probable cause in order to believe that Mr. Bowen had a suspended license at the time that he stopped him. For the first case, and I think that relates back to this one for the suppression. Additionally, I would also add that the officer that stopped Mr. Bowen, Officer Nippes, the court saw the impeachment on that officer regarding his order of events, that the stop sign was not referenced in the police report, and that lights and sirens were activated before this U-turn. So therefore, that stop necessarily relates back to the fleeing and eluding. There's no independent justification for the stop prior to the officer's initiation of the traffic stop in the second case with Nippes. So again, I think both cases are inherently linked, and that because the Officer Moon lacked probable cause to believe that Mr. Bowen had a suspended license, which at least did nothing to verify it, then therefore both cases must go.
Mr. Curry, anything further?
Nothing further from the people, Judge.
Courts had the opportunity to hear the testimony of the officers this afternoon, and Mr. Hordos, while I appreciate your argument, your client is going to be bound over in both matters as previously charged. I believe that the witnesses met the standard to show that both a crime had been committed and that there was probable cause to believe that your client has been involved in the commission of that crime. He will be bound over. The next appearance date will be April 28, 2021 at 9 a.m. at Frank Murphy Hall of Justice. Has previously entered bond with any conditions will continue. Anything further, Mr. Curry?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Anything further, Mr. Hordos?
No, Judge, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Have a good afternoon. Mr. Bowen, have a good afternoon.
You too as
We're
well.
off the records. Thank you. We're off the records as to the exams. Mary Ann, I'm going to take